Hello students, today we will discuss about India's green revolution. Okay. First, food and population. Food, clothing and shelter are the basic necessities of life. They should be made available to all without discrimination of sex, age and caste. Before independence, our country was not self-sufficient in food grains. Food grains were imported from abroad to feed the hungry millions. The same policy continued even after independence. The government did not pay much attention to farming with the increase of population and no increase in the production of food grains. The import policy of the government received a setback after the Indochina War in 1962. The government paid a special attention to industrialization of the country, but it soon realized that unless raw materials were produced in the farms, industries could not be run properly. Moreover, the food imports under PL 480 assistance from the US were stopped with the result of exorbitant increase in the prices of food grains. The government itself increased price of edible commodities in order to increase the purchasing capacity of farmers. The Green Revolution, which began in the late 60s, was particularly stimulated by the increase in agricultural prices. Next, the changes in the method of farming. Since then, a number of changes have been introduced in farming. Incentives have been given to farmers. Seeds and fertilizers of new varieties have been supplied to farmers on subsidized rates. Irrigation facilities have been increased and new methods of farming have been effectively used. Today, tubewells and tractors can be seen in every village. Pumping machines, threshers and harvesters have become a common sight in the rural areas. Within 2 decades, the shape of the country has changed. The young agricultural scientists have made it possible for millions of farmers to make their traditional occupations more scientific and lucrative, and have also kept hunger away from millions of people of the country. The improved agricultural practices have far-reaching effect directly on agro-based industries and directly on every activity in the country. Next, stagnation in agricultural production. But it is very regrettable that net production in the last few years has been almost stagnant. The momentum imparted by the Green Revolution is almost lost. The area under wheat is fairly constant at 22 million hectares. Our country, self-sufficient in food at present, might find it difficult to feed its increasing population at the turn of the century. The Reserve Bank of India has therefore called for a strategy to reduce agricultural production after touching a level of 132 million tons in 1978-1979. Food grain production declined sharply in 1979-80, followed by a substantial increase in the next year and further improvement in 1981-82. But with the fall in food grains output in 1982-83, the overall average production in recent years has remained stagnant. This has not occurred notwithstanding the fact that an additional area of 9 million hectares was brought under irrigation during the last 4 years. During the same period, the area under high-yielding varieties of food grains has been increased into 46.7 million hectares from 28.8 million hectares, and the consumption of chemical fertilizers to 6.3 million tons. अगला causes for stagnation. There are several causes for the stagnation in food production. The breakthrough in the yield of wheat has not spread to other cereals, especially rice. There is also need for breakthrough in terms of new regions other than Punjab and Haryana. Similar breakthrough in regard to oilseeds is also urgently called for. A substantial surplus of sugar and cotton emphasizes the need for bringing about a balance in the cropping pattern in agriculture. Natural calamities like lack of rain ultimately means excess of rains, and floods are also responsible for low productivity. Other serious causes is the increasing fragmentation of land holdings. Next, dry land farming. In order to achieve the food target, dry land farming assumes added significance. The importance of dry land farming could be gauged from the fact that merely 25% of the total cropped area in the country is irrigated, and the balance continues to depend on rains. What is really disturbing is the fact that even though the rain fed areas account for 75% of the cropped area, their contribution amounts to only 42% of the total food production, since the entire production of cotton and oilseeds depends on rain-fed area. Dryland farming programs should be accorded a high priority. All known technology of dryland farming need to be disseminated among the farmers. In view of the importance of dryland farming, the government has given it to top priority in the 7th, 8th and 19th 5 years plan. Last conclusion. Judging from the trends of production, it can be said that agricultural production in the country has reached a plateau, as this is not increasing beyond 135 million tons a year, even with massive investments in irrigation. Fertilizers and high-yielding varieties of seeds. In the coming years, with increase in population, the food situation is bound to be grim, and we have to resort to continuous imports, which will eat away scarce foreign resources. The farm sector, therefore, should be increased to increase production of those commodities which are at present imported in substantial quantities to save valuable foreign exchange. The agricultural sectors therefore have a special role in securing increased production.